So we're going to start our kind of our minimalist build here with this new released Atlantis Model Company kit. So this is the Japanese medium tank, World War II Type 97 Chiha. This is originally an Aurora kit from the 1960s and maybe 1950s. So it's an older type of a kit. What's neat about this one is it actually reuses some of the box art that they used on a late 60s kit. So I normally wouldn't build a Japanese tank, but I happened to see this one on the shelf under the Atlantis name. And then when I was looking through a website of a guy that runs oldmodelkits.com, and it had this same picture and with the Aurora label on it. And so this company Atlantis is remaking some of these older kits. And what's nice about these is they're an easier build than a lot of these kits that they have today, these super detailed tank kits. So for someone that's a little bit younger, who doesn't quite have the ability, or you only have simple tools that you're not able to work with, this is a great kit to do what they call a classic build. So I'm thinking this is probably a great way for a younger person to build a tank and not be intimidated by a huge multi-part, super detailed tank, like a lot of the Tamiya kits and many of the other ones now with individual track links. And some of the 1/72nd scale tank kits as well are super detailed, but they are very hard to build, and they can be very frustrating just based on the instructions that they give and how you put them together. And if you don't do your research, it's very hard to put them together. Whereas this one, I'm hoping it's going to be an easier build, especially for a younger person who wants to get into modeling. And just for me, like believe it or not, I'm having a sick day from work today. So I thought, well, I used to do it when I was a kid, so it's a good time just to build a model kit. Now that I'm feeling a little bit better, I'm on the mend. And before I head back to work, I'm just going to do a simple build. And I'm hoping this will be a good one for that. So let's take a look. So the first thing we can take a look at, I kind of like this. It's made in the USA. I'm a little biased in that way, but that doesn't mean anything really. What's really neat, I think, on these kits, and with older kits as well, that go way back, it's also in different languages. Now you may not think too much of that, but you have all these different languages that kids can learn. So 1/48th scale, so 1/48th escala or escala, so it's probably Spanish or maybe French. So this looks like French and Spanish. Plastique, plastico. And I've always enjoyed that because I learned colors in different languages. I'm going to get a little closer to this one here. So there's black, noir, and negro, brown, marron. So you can learn, all these different colors in different languages. And even some of the older monogram kits and Rebel kits, they even have more different colors in the way you learn languages. So this is I guess this one is mostly in French and Spanish, but it keeps a good tradition. So I do like that. And then it has a lot of the information on the side about the tank in different languages. So if you're a kid, you could actually learn some good language, differences, and how to speak, different words in different language. I thought that was kind of neat. So looking around the box, we have the art. Now this kit, it says it's skill level 2 and is for age 14 and over. So I'm not sure if, you may not want your youngster doing this, but I'm going to take a look at it and we'll see, and you can be the judge if, you think your younger than 14 person could do this. So we're going to take a look at that. You'll notice on the back, it talks about the different skill levels. So they're saying that skill level 1 is the easiest, no glues required. Now the moderate is level 2 of what we have here on their kits. So it needs glue and it may need some paint. So we'll discuss paint here in a little bit. But first of all, we're just going to get the build going. And then they're doing their advertising, So these are some of the other neat kits that they have. It's a very colorful box, and they use the original box art from these old Aurora kits. I actually have some of these, I think, on the shelf that my uncle had built back in the 60s. So we'll take a look and we'll see what these look like. And of course, here's their website if you want to go check it out online. So let's take a look inside the kit and what do we get? So we open up the box. So first thing we see is the rubber style tracks. They look pretty simple. It looks like they're the style they're going to hook into each other, and we're going to have to glue those together at some point and do some trimming on them. So we'll set that aside for now. There's a sealed plastic bag. So this is something we want to be careful with younger kids learning to build and stuff. They have the safety notification on here, and but it keeps all the parts together. And what I'll do is I'll open this up in a minute, but you can tell right away it doesn't have a huge amount of parts, and it's going to be easy enough to put together with just enough repetition on the wheels and things to build good habits, not only in model building, but just for later on when they're working on stuff in life. So if you do a little study of the history of the Aurora, you see that, so in 1976, they actually went out of business in 1977. So this is one of the last molds that the Aurora Products Corporation made with this particular tank. And so with the competition that happened in the early 1970s with upgraded kits and more detail that was coming out of the hobby industry at the time, Aurora upgraded a bunch of their kits. So this particular one, if you look at one of their older versions, you will notice that it's just smooth plastic. Whereas this one, if I can catch the light just right, they put a bit of a cast grit over the top of the shell here. So you've got more, instead of just a regular old plastic one, you've got a little bit more detail added. Still has the molded on grab irons and things like that, but it has a nice feel to it, and it should be a nice kit to build. We get a set of decals. I think these are probably from the original decal sheets that they had in the 60s. So it's kind of nice. They have a little Atlantis decal on there if you want to use it. And 3 different versions from what I understand on this one. So here's our instruction sheet, so we can take a look at that. everything in multiple languages. Has your decal application instructions. Gives you the about, like on all the classic kits. Gives you instructions on how to do the build the kit. Pictures of it here so you can use it to see what your kit will look like when it's done. So I like these old ones. They have very visual depictions of where all the parts go. And then these actually have do this first, do this second. They have a checklist. So what I like about this for kids and learning this, it teaches you about these checklists. Many things in life, like I was in the Air Force, and so I flew, and every time you get in an airplane, you have a checklist that you follow before you go anywhere in that airplane to make sure everything's working right. If you're building an engine, you need a checklist. I imagine if you're a doctor, you're going to go in and you have to follow a checklist before you do an operation. So these instructions are pretty nice, I think, and would be easy enough to read for a younger person. You can see what part goes on which section, and then it tells you in the verbiage how to actually put it together. So you can kind of see that. It has the other side over here, tells you where all the parts go and as you finally put it together. And there's 3 main divisions with 27 individual checklist items. So it's a good learning opportunity for a younger person. So we'll just see what's on the back. So it gives you 3 different versions to build. So here's your Army, here's the Japanese Navy, and here's another Japanese Army version here apparently. So, and then of course they're doing more of their advertising, what other neat kits they can build. But it tells you what color to paint it if you want to paint it. In my case, I'm just going to build it as is, and then I'm going to do some touch-up paint. I'm going to do what's called a classic build, and we're just going to build it in its brown color. And I'll probably apply decals right on it. So, but just looking at it, it looks like a pretty easy kind of a put together. So might be a good sick day build.